In his political report, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa lamented on the concerns around rising unemployment, poverty, slow economic growth, the energy crisis and plans to clean up state-owned enterprises. On energy security, he reiterated measures to employ retired experts and improving governance. He also pointed out how poor policy decisions have contributed to the current rolling blackouts.
Poor policy decisions in the past, together with inadequate maintenance, mismanagement, state capture and widespread corruption have left our electricity system in a state of real disrepair. The effects of load shedding are felt every day by households, businesses, schools, hospitals, government offices, and indeed by our people generally. Load shedding severely constrains economic growth as well as transformation. It constrains job creation, poverty alleviation, and development.
Newly elected ANC Treasurer General Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa says the sluggish economy remains a concern. She's calling for heightened consolidated efforts between business and government on interventions.
We must commit that no one must be left behind. If 80% of our country is not productive, we know that whatever we do is very minuscule in working in our endeavors to achieve this inclusive growth and this shared prosperity.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana addressed the issue of the $8.5 billion loan to address climate change, clarifying that it is not a grant, but a debt.
As you are aware, the developed world announced $8.5 billion, and everybody was excited. Everybody was excited. However, it remains one thing, it remains that. It remains one thing, it remains that. I must confess that in certain areas, in certain countries, we've been able to get some concessional loans. It's not a grant, it's that.
Plans to accelerate structural, economic and policy reforms, particularly those relating to the cost of doing business, could go a long way in facilitating the entry of new entrepreneurs into the formal economy. The conference reiterated the importance of increasing business opportunities for small businesses and female entrepreneurs who remain the most marginalized when it comes to access to finance and markets.
We're changing the ESD policy to ensure that 30% of the ESD funds are spent in townships and rural areas. Already they are marginalized. 15% of the ESD budget in each underserved areas. In the new proposition, we are capping at 33% the proportion of the ESD budget that goes to training and capacity building, with 67% of the budget allocated to infrastructure, equipment, working capital, and access to technology. And these are the things that small businesses and corporates lack. Now, if we utilize that fund effectively, we'll be able to see changes.
Economic Transformation Committee Chair Mamuluko Kubai says the conference also discussed other issues relating to the economy. These include land redistribution and the just energy transition, among others.
And the emphasis around just transition is that it must be at the pace and at the cost that the economy can afford. That's part of the discussion, but understanding that we have communities and workers that must be protected and reskilled. So this is also reaffirmation of the work that has been done. Continuous work around or the re-emphasis of, which I know that might be one of the interests, the re-emphasis of our IRP and the need for it to be updated, but also looking at energy security within the oil and gas space where exploration needs to continue. That's some of the issues that are coming through, and also saying that we should be able to leverage on our relationships in BRICS to be able to benefit out of this work that we need to go.
Meanwhile, Labour Federation COSATU has also welcomed the newly elected leadership, applauding the ruling party for also electing women leaders. The federation has called for the party to prioritize fighting corruption. At the same time, the Black Business Council is calling for a cabinet reshuffle to speed up policy implementation. Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.